Most people think poverty is a money problem. Uh, it is not. MBDI have spent over 90 years watching human beings make financial decisions. I have watched brilliant engineers, gifted doctors, talented salespeople, people who scored in the top percentile of every test ever put in front of them quietly, slowly lose everything. Against the end. Not because they were lazy, not because they were unlucky, not because the market turned against them, Landon, because they were smart. That is the part nobody will tell you. And that is exactly what we are going to talk about today, Malene. You see, there are three invisible traps specifically designed to catch smart people. Average people never fall into these traps because average people never get close enough. But the moment your intelligence rises above a certain threshold, the moment you start believing in your own ability to figure things out, the trap door opens. Blunt, I want to give these traps their proper names today, because a trap you can name is a trap you can see, and a trap you can see is a trap you can avoid. Land. The first trap is what I call the complexity premium. The second is the optimization illusion. The third and the most dangerous is the competence ceiling. Let us begin. The first trap is the complexity premium. Here is something I have noticed about intelligent people. They are bored by simple answers. If you tell a person with an average IQ that the best investment strategy is to buy a low-cost index fund every month and wait 30 years, they will nod. They will accept it. They will probably do it. If you tell a person with a high IQ the exact same thing, they become uncomfortable. Their brain starts moving, starts asking, but what about optimization? What about tax positioning? What about the macro cycle, specific sector weighting? The intelligence that should be protecting them is instead manufacturing reasons. Why the simple answer cannot possibly be the right answer. Blaine, do you know what happens? They end up in hedge funds with 3% management fees and 20% performance cuts. They end up in leveraged real estate structures that required a 17-page subscription agreement to understand. They end up in private equity vehicles with 10-year lockups that look brilliant on a spreadsheet. The simple answer earned 11% annually for 30 years. The complex answer earned 11% in the pitch deck and 4% in reality. Let me be precise about this. I am not against complexity. Some problems are genuinely complex, but there is a critical distinction between complexity that exists in the problem and complexity that you import into the problem because simplicity offends your intelligence. Abjidi once watched a man, a former MIT professor, one of the sharpest minds I had ever encountered, spend 14 months building a currency arbitrage model. 14 months, the model was extraordinary. I understood only portions of it, but I understood enough to ask him one question. Blunt, I said, have you accounted for the spread compression that happens when large capital flows through a thin market? Then he had not, the model had no flaw in its mathematics. The flaw was that he had looked for a problem worthy of his intelligence rather than looking for a problem with a profitable solution. That is the complexity premium. You pay it with your time. You pay it with your capital. And the most painful part is that you pay it while feeling supremely confident that you are being rigorous. The assignment I want to give you is this. Take whatever financial strategy you are currently executing. Now imagine explaining it to a 12-year-old, not the mechanics, the logic. If you cannot explain the core logic, why this makes money in plain English, in under 60 seconds, put it in the too hard pile. Today, not next week, simplicity is not a consolation prize. Simplicity is the strategy. The second trap is the optimization illusion. Let me tell you about a woman named Sarah. I am using this name as a stand-in for a pattern I have seen repeated so many times it almost has its own gravitational field. Sarah is 34. She earns good money, not extraordinary money, but good money. She is meticulous. She tracks every dollar in a spreadsheet. She refinances when rates drop by a quarter point. She moves her savings from one high-yield account to another when the rate differential hits a certain threshold. She negotiates every bill. She reads every personal finance article published. Sarah is not building wealth. Sarah is optimizing poverty at higher resolution. Here is the thing. She has spent so much cognitive energy on the efficiency of what she has that she has almost no energy left to think about the size of what she has. This is the optimization illusion, and it is everywhere among intelligent people because intelligence is a tool built for optimization. Your brain is extraordinarily good at making existing systems more efficient. It is not naturally built to ask whether the system should exist at all, Bob. There is a number I use in my own thinking. I call it the 10 times test. Before I spend serious mental energy optimizing something, I ask, is there a version of this decision where the outcome is 10 times better? Not 10% better, 10 times. If the answer is yes, stop optimizing, start replacing. Banda saving $40 a month by switching car insurance is an optimization. Replacing your income source entirely with one that compounds without your direct labor is a 10 times decision. Intelligent people love optimizations because optimizations are solvable. They have clear inputs and clear outputs. So they have a definite right answer. 10 times decisions are terrifying because they require you to operate in uncertainty, to commit before you have complete information, to risk looking foolish to the people watching you. Bands. And so the intelligent person keeps optimizing and the portfolio stays small and the years go by. I want to give you one practical tool here. I call it the ceiling audit. Once per quarter, not once per year, once per quarter, ask yourself this question: what is the absolute maximum this strategy can produce if everything goes right? And if the ceiling on your current path is not enough, stop going deeper into it. A better ladder leaning against the wrong wall is still the wrong wall. The third trap is the competence ceiling. I'm going to tell you something that will feel wrong when you first hear it. So it will feel wrong because it contradicts almost everything you were taught in school, in your career, in every performance review you have ever received. And here it is. The thing that got you here will keep you here. I do not mean that as encouragement. Amdiest, every skill you have built, every credential you have earned, every domain where you have genuine and hard-won competence, those things create a ceiling, not a floor, a ceiling. Here is why. When you are genuinely competent at something, the returns on that competence feel real and immediate. You do the thing well, the reward arrives, your brain encodes that pathway, you do it again, it works again. The groove gets deeper on mean. While the activities that would produce the next level of financial result are activities you are not yet competent at. The returns are delayed. The feedback is confusing. You feel like a beginner. And intelligent people who have spent their entire lives being the most capable person in the room, find that feeling almost physically intolerable. So they return to their competence. They do what they are good at. They do it more efficiently. They do it at higher volume, that they never cross the ceiling. Lumbi have seen this pattern destroy more wealth potential than any market crash I have ever lived through. And I have lived through many. Let me give you the most personal version of this I am willing to share. In my early career, I was an extraordinary analyst. I could look at a balance sheet and see things that other people missed entirely. That was my competence. And for a long time, I deployed it in the obvious way I found undervalued. companies and I bought them and I sold them when the price corrected. Then it worked beautifully until it stopped scaling. The ceiling on that approach was real. The companies I could analyze thoroughly were small. The positions I could take were limited. My return was capped by the size of the universe of companies I could personally evaluate. Charlie Munger helped me see the ceiling. He asked me a simple question. He said, Warren, what would your returns look like if instead of finding the cheapest companies, you found the best companies? It took me years to fully internalize what he was pointing at because the analysis approach was different. The holding period was different. The patience required was different. I had to become a beginner again in areas where I had been an expert. That transition, that willingness to be temporarily incompetent in service of future competence, that is what separates people who build great wealth from people who build adequate wealth. I want to give you one concrete practice. I call it the beginner's budget. Every month, take 5% of your time and 5% of your capital, and deploy them in something where you have no current competence. Not speculative gambling, deliberate learning in an adjacent domain. You will be bad at it. That is the point. Every master was once a beginner who refused to stay. Let us bring all three together. The complexity premium takes your intelligence and turns it against simplicity. The fix, if you cannot explain it in 60 seconds, it goes in the too hard pile. The optimization illusion takes your diligence and turns it against scale. The fix, run the ceiling audit every quarter. Stop going deeper into ceilings. Start building new floors. The competence ceiling takes your expertise and turns it against your growth. The fix, the beginner's budget, 5% of time, 5% of capital into deliberate incompetence. These are not soft suggestions. They are structural corrections to structural traps. The traps are not personal. They are not a reflection of your character or your discipline or your worth. They are, in fact, a reflection of your intelligence. They are calibrated for people exactly like you. Bloody have lived long enough to watch generations of smart, hardworking people hit these traps and never understand why. They worked harder, they studied more, they optimized further. And the gap between where they were and where they wanted to be stayed exactly the same size. The work is not the problem. The direction of the work is the problem. You are not being held back by your laziness. You are being held back by invisible architecture that was built specifically around your strengths. Name the trap, see the trap, walk around it. That is all. Thanks for watching. Go to the comments right now. Tell me which trap you have fallen into. Right, trap 1 or trap 2 or trap 3? One word. That moment of honesty is the beginning of the correction.